All right, welcome back to another episode of Two Plane Sports. We're doing this right as the main game has concluded, so pretty instant reaction here from us. Before we get into everything, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, follow us on everything in the description down below. All right, quick and easy intro. Let's get into this main game. Not a great start for Oklahoma. Fell quickly, had a three and out to start the game. We did start with the ball. And then Maine was able to put together a drive to go up 7-0. And then OU did not look back from there. They ended up going, how many was it? 52 unanswered, I
Yeah,
believe, before Maine got their second score in the fourth
yeah.
quarter. So, Brandon, you know, after that first drive, how did you feel about Oklahoma? And was this, we talked about it in the preview. Oklahoma, there was really no winning here. It had to be a confidence booster. What did you think about this team? And if there is a realistic chance of one more win to continue, I guess, the second longest streak in bowl eligibility in FBS right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, early in the game, I sent out some questionable tweets on Two Plane Sports. I think you deleted one of them. That's probably a good look on your part there. Yeah, and I was frustrated. That was about as bad as you can possibly start. To go, you get one first down, and then you have to punt 3 plays later, and then Maine just goes down the field with ease, and it's 7-0, and I was like, what the fuck? It's frustrating. But then yeah, as you said, I mean, then you rattle off 52 in a row, and then you kind of realize, it was just a shitty start. They did what they're supposed to do against a Maine team. I think for the most part, they had like 665 yards of offense at the end of the day. A couple things that I wanted to see before the game in our preview. I wanted 0 sacks. That did happen. We did not get sacked this game. There was a couple times where Maine was close, but there was no sacks from Maine, and we hit an explosive play down the field. Which is another thing I want to see. It was really cool to see a 90-yard passing touchdown on a play where Jackson Arnold and JJ Hester kind of made something out of nothing there. A scramble play, and Jackson threw just a perfectly thrown ball to Hester that he was able to make a play on and score. So that was a lot of fun. I think defense for the most part did what they're supposed to do. With the exception of the opening drive touchdown for Maine. Didn't get as many turnovers as you may have expected. I think we only had one on the fumble. We should have had another pick, but roughing the passer took it away. But it's I think 4 sacks or so. Defense did fine. I think Maine had like 140 passing yards, 100 yards on the ground, but like 3 yards a carry. It's about what you expected. As far as can we win another game, I still think you can. We were right there with Ole Miss for majority of that game in Oxford. Guys should be feeling pretty good about themselves going into Missouri. I understand Missouri's coming off a bye, but I still feel as if Mizzou's pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, so this game was, I think, what Oklahoma needed. Uh, for anyone that watches the Oklahoma breakdown with Eichert and Lehman, they in their preview they mentioned something pretty similar to us. Like this was about confidence building for the offense mainly, and just making sure that your defense is able to make proper adjustments. Continue what they've been doing, dominate with the defensive line, which I think they did for the most part. They were getting pressure. The quarterback was just able to get it out in time to not get a sack. Oklahoma did end up with a few sacks. To, I think it was, yeah, 3 or 4 was the team total, um, and probably could have been a few more. I mean, the on one of the first big mistakes that Maine committed was a holding where Eli Bowen had a clear line to the quarterback, but he was basically tackled to get down. And I think in that same drive, PJ what just made a huge push against they believe it was their left tackle, and then he
Mm-hmm.
got held as well. So this the defense is looking good. Pass defense still a little vulnerable. Jacoby gave up a big one. I think it was a perfect ball, but he was also about a step behind. that was his time. I believe he started the game. I think that's his first start of the season, which is a big change from what we expected from him mid-season. Given all the wide receiver injuries, he was supposed to be a wide receiver for a little bit, and I guess it just decided it made more sense to keep him on the DB side of the football since I think he's played pretty well, honestly. Every time he's been out there, he's I haven't checked his snap total versus the rest of the games, but I would venture to say this was probably the game where he, a personal high in snap total or snap count for him. Him and Eli Bowen, that duo was much better than we've seen throughout the rest of the games. Again, it's against Maine, so if they are the starting DBs for Missouri, we'll see how that goes. It could either be Brady Cook or Drew Pine that is the quarterback there. I think Cook is probably going to give it a go. I mean, given that he gets a bye week to recover, try to make it for the game, but it wouldn't surprise me if something gets re-aggravated because that seems to have been happening over the last few weeks with him. Javonte Barnes, this offense just needs to rely on the run game because if anything, this offensive line can create some push and get some running lanes open, and he's starting to hit them. You can tell he's getting confident in the run game. Pass blocking still not great. I think you need to give Eddie Pierre Louis more opportunities. When he came in, if anything, he was the nastiest offensive lineman for this squad. Sometimes it's frustrating. You hate to see get these dumb penalties like he did for unnecessary roughness. I think that the call ended up
Yeah.
being because of the extra hit there at the end. Sometimes you need it. You kind of like that kind of stuff out of an offensive lineman. You have to have some type of attitude to have to block 300, 280, 300-pound guys. You have to be able to get nasty, and he proved he was that kind of guy. I would like to see him more. It seems like this staff still wants him to improve, but I think he played pretty well today. Isaiah Autry played well in his snaps. It's tough to really truly grade the offensive line and really the offense as a whole because you're playing Maine. You did what you're supposed to do, but things did look better. The offense doesn't look so scattered. Jackson made some good plays at the one of JJ Hester. I think you mentioned it's apparently the longest touchdown play ever on Owens Field, which is kind of surprising. 90-yard touchdown.
90 yards. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Then the good thing about that play is there was no not hesitation. I can't. The word I'm thinking of is escaping my mind, but they both looked comfortable. Jackson rolling out, JJ turning around and trying to extend the play with him. It worked out obviously. If he's the second wide receiver, that's one thing that still didn't really pop up in this game. Who's going to be the number two receiver? Maybe Deion Brooks is ready to go for Missouri. We did not see him. Gavin Sawchuk did not get any action. He's presumably still hurt. Caleb Hicks did not get any action either. We saw Xavier Robinson. We saw a lot of the young guys, but it's also a little bit telling on who we didn't see, who's maybe been here for a year or two, that gives some clues on what could happen come the conclusion of the season.
Yeah, no, we saw. I think Xavier Robinson was a lot of fun. We looked at the box. He was the second leading receiver on the team, just with that one big play he made. He was running dudes over. It'd be fun to kind of see him. I mean, it's going to be the Javonte Barnes show going forward, but I mean, it's cool to see him. He might be the guy of the future with Taylor Tatum. I think they could be a nice duo. Going forward. I don't know. You said a lot of things. Daniel Akinkunmi got in the game a little bit. I thought that was kind of cool to see. EPL, obviously, the penalty sucked, but I mean, outside of that, he was fine. Jaden Hardy's a guy that we mentioned a couple times as a guy we're excited to see. He looks like he's going to be a player, man. And that play on special teams where he's blowing a dude up at the 10-yard line, and he just seems to always be in the right spot. Mike Boganowski tried to kill somebody again. That was just a loud tackle. But that's what you come to expect out of that guy now. And then Reggie Powers, the trio of those three are always hanging out. Powers should have had a pick, which it sucks that I got taken away. But friend of the show, Danny Okoye, with the roughing the passer. I thought it was cool to see them do that. I think David Stone was in on a sack play, which was also kind of cool to see. He just got a lot of runs today, which is something you'd expect, but also something pretty cool to see. Yeah, I mean it went to plan. I think after that deep ball to JJ Hester, I was enough. I had seen enough at that point. I think that made it. I guess that was still first half, but I think that made it 35-7 or something like that, if I remember correctly.
28-7.
Do what? 28-7.
It made it 28-7. Yep.
Okay, yeah, you still got to keep them out there at that. I don't know, but it's 35-7 at half. After you get that first stop and score 42-7, I think we rolled out Arnold one more drive. I think we could have done without. We left some points on the board even in this game. I think Sam Franklin was the one who fumbled on a pitch play that looked like it had a lot of potential. Had he hung on to it, it wasn't perfect, but I think there's a lot you can bring into that Missouri game. I think it just confidence. Hopefully they feel good about themselves, and they're aware that it's Maine too. Everybody's aware that it's Maine, but winning 59-14 is a lot funner than losing, and I know funner is not a word before I get attacked in the comments.
Yeah, and maybe they were a little bit too aware that it was just Maine to start the game. It did seem, again, going back to that first drive for them offensively, I don't know if it was a lack of urgency or they were just a bit too confident. If anything, every great head coach has always talked about you have to prepare your guys every game as if it's the most important game of the year, even when you're playing an opponent like Maine. And if you get caught sleeping, that other team isn't going to just lay down and give you the game. They're going to try to win. That's what sports are for at the end of the day. You want to try to win the game. Well, they luckily figured it out. The uh, defensive backs overall played better. Linebackers played well. Defensive line, I think you mentioned it. The young guys getting all this run is good. I I'm gonna be more cautiously optimistic in saying this is enough to get them confident to be playing spoiler over the next 4 weeks versus Missouri, versus Alabama, and then versus LSU. Two of them being on the road. We'll see how it goes for Oklahoma. I do agree that Missouri is probably the team that if you're gonna win one of those three, it's gonna more than likely be against them just because they've looked more vulnerable, especially if Brady Cook is still dealing with injury. But they also have Luther Burden, and we have seen this defense, especially the secondary, can get cooked. And he is maybe the best wide receiver in the country, arguably, top three receiver in the country, and he's not gonna really as if he can get open, I think basically any quarterback can get him the ball as long as they're looking downfield. So it's going to be a lot of defensive line uh, reliance and how that the success goes there. But we'll preview that game in our next video. We're gonna do a collaboration with the Mizzou podcast, so that I'm sure they're going to be very confident about their chances against Oklahoma, which can't blame them. This offense hasn't really given us a ton of hope, but again, cautious optimism from here on out. Anything you want to add before we wrap it up for today?
No, just it's fun to be sitting here on a Saturday now with a pretty good slate ahead of us, and with a win. It's the win, man. We haven't felt it in a minute, and it's Maine, but fuck it, we won. We get to be winners today, and hopefully we keep that going and go get one against Missouri. That'd be pretty cool.
Exactly. A win's a win at the end of the day. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, follow us on all social media. Stay tuned for our next video. Like I said, we're going to be previewing the Missouri game with a Missouri podcast, so they will have some good insight, even though they're probably going to say that Missouri wins. No doubt. Can't blame them for their fandom, I guess. Appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you next time.